Yamunatira vanachari Yamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Prasajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prasajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Prasajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Prasajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Continuing reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 3. Which text are we on? – . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . we, I believe, no, we're beyond that. Because the marker's on text 14. And then I could see on text 10, it's talking about Magadha. And Krishna Shravana Prabhu, he was talking about Magadha. And then the next two texts don't have, I think it's text 14. I'm going to go for it. Okay, text 14. Kiyan bhuvoyam shapito rubaro yadrona bhishmarjuna bhima mulai ashtadashakshal hiniko mad amshar aste balam dur vishaham yadunam Kiyan bhuvoyam shapito rubaro yadrona bhishmarjuna bhima mulai ashtadashakshal hiniko mad amshar aste balam dur vishaham yadunam Kiyan bhuvoyam shapito rubaro yadrona bhishmarjuna bhima mulai ashtadashakshal hiniko madamshar aste balam dur vishaham yadunam
Kiyan bhuvoyam shapito rubaro
Yam Kshapito Rubaro
yadrona bhishmarjuna bhima mulai
Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Mulai
ashtadaksho hiniko madangshar
Ashtadashakshon Hiko Madamshar
aste balang dur vishahang yadunam
Aste Balam Dur Vishtaham Yadunam
Kiyan bhuvoyam shapito rubaro
Kiyan Bhavayam Kshapito Rubaro
yadrona bhishmarjuna bhima mulai
Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Mulai
ashtadashaksho hiniko madangshar
Ashtadashaksho Hiniko Madamshar
aste balam dur vishaham yadunam
Aste Balam Dur Vishaham Yadunam
Kayan bhuvoyam shapitor baro
Kiyan Bhavayam Kshapito Rubaro
yadrona bhishma bhima mulai
Yadrona Bhishmarjuna Bhima Mulai
ashtadasha shuniko madamshar
Ashtadashaksho Niko Madamshar
aste balam vishaham yudunam
Aste Balam Dur Vishaham Yadunam. Word for word translation. Kiyan, what is this? Bhuvaha, of the earth. I am this. Kshapita, abated. Uru, very great. Bharaha, burden, yat, which, Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, Bhima, Mulai, with the help, Ashtadasha, 18, Akshohinika, phalanxes of military strength, Mat Shahai, with my descendants, Aste, are still there, Balam, great strength, Durvishaham, unbearable, Yadunam, of the Yadu dynasty. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshohinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. Purport. It is a wrong theory that due to an increase in population, the world becomes overburdened, and therefore there are wars and other annihilating processes. The earth is never overburdened. The heaviest mountains and oceans on the face of the earth hold more living entities than there are human beings. Hold on, I'm going to say that again. The heaviest mountains and oceans on the face of the earth hold more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a census were taken of all the living beings on the surface of the earth, certainly it would be found that the number of humans is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. If the birth rate of a human beings is increasing, then the birth rate of other living beings is increasing proportionately. The birth rate of lower animals, beasts, aquatics, birds, etc. is far greater than that of human beings. There is an adequate arrangement for food for all the living beings all over the earth by the order of the Supreme Lord, and He can arrange more and more if there is actually a disproportionate increase of living beings. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. The earth became overburdened due to dharma glani, or irregular discharge of the Lord's desire. The Lord appeared on the earth to curb the increase in miscreants and not the increase in population, as is wrongly put forward by the mundane economist. When Lord Krishna appeared, there had been a sufficient increase in miscreants who had violated the desire of the Lord. The material creation is meant for fulfilling the desire of the Lord, and His desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter into the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their conditions for entering. The entire process of cosmic arrangement is intended just to give a chance to the conditioned souls to enter the kingdom of God, and there is an adequate arrangement for their maintenance by the nature of the Lord. Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness and are not miscreants, such a burden on the earth is a source of pleasure for her. There are two kinds of burdens. There is the burden of the beast and the burden of love. The burden of the beast is unbearable, but the burden of love is a source of pleasure. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes the burden of love very practically. He says that the burden of the husband on the young wife, the burden of the child on the lap of the mother, and the burden of the wealth on the businessman, although actually burdens from the viewpoint of heaviness, are sources of pleasure. In the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation, which is heavier to bear than the actual burden of love. When Lord Krishna referred to the burden of the Yadu dynasty on earth, He referred to something different than the burden of the beast. The large numbers of family members born of Lord Krishna counted to some millions and were certainly a great increase in the population of the earth. But because all of them were expansions of the Lord Himself by His transcendental plenary expansions, they were a source of great pleasure for the earth. When the Lord referred to them in connection with the burden on the earth, He had in mind their imminent disappearance from the earth. All the members of the family of Lord Krishna were incarnations of different demigods, and they were to disappear from the surface of the earth along with the Lord. When he referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Yadu dynasty, he was referring to the burden of their separation. Srila Jiva Goswami confirms this inference. Translation again. After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, "The abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshohinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still a great strength of the Yadu dynasty born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden." Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, we're hearing this chapter continuing, recounting all the different events of Lord Krishna's pastimes after he left Vrindavan, starting with Mathura, then ending through Dwarka, and now we're hearing, Krishna's contemplating winding up the Yadu dynasty and removing his dynasty from this earth, which Prabhupada made the point that he had millions and millions of family members, because you could just do the math. He had 16,108 wives, then he had 10 sons with each of them. I believe he had a daughter with them also. And then, and then they all had kids, they got married. The residents of Dwarka, the population was immense. But as Prabhupada's pointing out, it's not a burden. And we were talking about this in the Bhagavad Gita the other night, where Arjuna was expressing his doubt about unwanted progeny creating overpopulation for the world. But on the contrary, this family born of Krishna's dynasty is anything but unwanted population, and that's the point that Prabhupada's making. And then he quotes Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who gives an analyzation of the difference between burden of love and burden of beast. In India, you can very much see the burden of the beast everywhere you go. They have donkeys or mules, and they're pulling big carts. They take a cart and they put hay on the cart, as much almost to the ceiling, almost. They stuff as much hay as they possibly can, and this animal is pulling it. And I remember I was with some of my friends. We were watching this, and they were remarking on Prabhupada's comments on, this burden of the beast. And they say, why is he doing this? Just to get a little hay? Why doesn't he just run away? Then, I pointed out the stick in the guy's hand, the rod of chastisement. So if you don't act according to the master, then you get hit. So you act the proper way. But a burden of love is something much deeper. In Prabhupada, he makes this point that, as per Krishnadas Kaviraj, who analyzes this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that there is no love in this material world. But there is a semblance of love. And Prabhupada pointed out that can be most easily observed in the love that a mother has for her child. Because the mother is just caring for the child and wants the best for the child, but it's still tinged with my child, my body, bodily consciousness. So that's one of the examples that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is using. The burden of the child on the lap of the mother. The child is always causing so much distress and so much dysfunction, and always requires cleaning and bathing and changing, diapers. But still the mother continues this out of love. He also gave the example of the burden of the husband on the young wife and the burden of the wealth on the businessman. I mean, you could see this, that businessmen, they're so burdened, so busy, they're always researching, they're on their phone, making calls, doing this for money. So they're stressed out in their pursuit of making money, but the money actually makes them happy, so it keeps them going. So I was thinking about this in terms of our daily practice of sadhana. In the beginning, it can very much be like this burden of the beast. If I don't chant my rounds, if I don't go to the program, if I'm not hearing, if I'm not associating with the devotees, then the rod of chastisement comes. But unlike the animal who is getting hit by the stick by its master, which it's possible for him to run away from, we're getting smacked by our mind, which is being dictated by Maya, which we cannot run away from. We can run as far as we can possibly imagine, anywhere within the universe, but still our mind, our problems catch up with us. And yesterday I was reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the 9th canto, the pastime of Ambarish Maharaj, who everybody knows the story, but he was getting ready to break his fast, and Durvasa Muni comes, and Durvasa Muni is received very well by Ambarish Maharaj, who is getting ready to serve him and give him everything that he needs, prasadam. But Durvasa Muni says, okay, I'll go take a bath in the Yamuna first. And, we know Durvasa Muni, he did a big vrat for Ekadashi, and he wanted to break the Ekadashi vrat on the proper timing. But because Durvasa Muni wasn't there, he didn't know what to do. He didn't want to do it. So what did he do? He consulted Brahmanas first. So this is a good takeaway from this pastime, is that, if we're ever in a situation that we don't know what to do, we should consult Brahmanas. I've heard many devotees, if they're in this situation, they'll try to consult 3 Brahmanas and get a better opinion on what they should do in the matter. So anyways, he decided to drink water, because drinking water is considering breaking the fast and also not breaking the fast. And Durvasa Muni, by his mystical potency, was aware of this, and he summoned a giant demon to kill Ambarish Maharaj. Talk about anger. Somebody's trying to serve you prasadam, and they took before you, so I'm going to kill him. This is intense. And Durvasa Muni was protected by the Sudarshan Chakra, and Ambarish Maharaj was protected by the Sudarshan Chakra, given to him by the Lord. And then Ambarish Maharaj was traveling all over the world, and he could not escape this not even sinful reaction, but worse, Vaishnava aparad. So, point is that I'm making is, no matter where we go, our problems will catch up to us. We can't escape them. We can't run from them. So the best course of action is to turn this burden of the beast, of our sadhana, because Krishna himself, he says that in the beginning, cultivating these higher levels of consciousness in the beginning can taste like poison, but in the end it will taste like nectar. So sometimes we can feel that burden. Oh, I have to chant my rounds, I don't feel like it today. I have to do this service, I don't want to. All these things may come up. Or we're distracted by the material energy. But to gain attachment and attraction for chanting Hare Krishna, for hearing about Krishna, then very much this process becomes, a burden of love. You're willing to go through all the austerities to please Krishna, to step out of your comfort zone and do more for Guru, do more for Krishna. the nature of the false ego to find some comfort zone. Set aside a little space for me, and this is my level. This is my service. I do this, and I can't do that. I can't do that. A pure devotee is willing to do anything to serve Krishna. Now, we are embodied and we have limitations, but the point is there, and you can give Srimati Radharani as an example, who's always enjoying with Krishna, but she wants to bring others to Krishna, to increase Krishna's enjoyment rather than her increasing her own enjoyment. So this is the proper mood. Today is also the appearance day of Sri Madhavendra Puri Prabhu. I think we were mentioning him on Monday. I was describing how before the advent of Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, this Madhurya Ras was pretty much non-manifest within all the Vaishnava Sampradayas. You could find maybe a little semblances of them here and there, but Madhavendra Puri really manifested this, which was later expanded upon by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and of course the 6 Goswamis who he taught and instructed to write so many books on the matter of rasa and Madhurya Rasa, Madhurya Leela. Shri Shri Gauranatai Ki Jai. Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, he was the Param Guru of Lord Chaitanya. He was the Guru of Ishvara Puri, who was Lord Chaitanya's Diksha Guru. And Madhavendra Puri, he was the Guru of Advaita Acharya. He was traveling through India and he made it to Govardhan. You could still go to Govardhan today, and his bhajan kutir is there in a town. It's called Anior. You know why it's called Anior? You don't know about the Annakut festival where they're offering all the bhoga on top of Govardhan to Govardhan? It says, Anior, Anior, give me more, give me more. So this town is called Anior. This is where his bhajan kutir was. But Madhavendra Puri arrived upon Govardhan, and Madhavendra Puri was a sadhu. He was a renunciate. He wouldn't even go begging for food. He would only take whatever came of its own accord. So one day he was walking and he came to this village in Govardhan, and a little cowherd boy came up to him and was like a village boy. And he was like, "What are you doing? Nobody fasts in my village." And he gave him some milk. Chastised him, basically. And Madhavendra Puri, he was sitting there and he just got absorbed in bhajan. He was chanting Hare Krishna all night long. All night long. And then in the wee hours in the morning, early morning, he dozed off. And then when he dozed off, he had a dream. And in his dream, Krishna came to him, and it was revealed that this little boy who came to him was actually Krishna. And then it got revealed to him of this deity that was in the jungle, that was in the trees, the thick brush, on top of Govardhan. So Madhavendra Puri, he awoke, and immediately he went running to the villagers in the town to do something. And they brought the machetes, knives, and they cut the trees, the brush. In India, it's pretty tropical. There can be some real heavy-duty things growing. So they freed this deity, and Madhavendra Puri Prabhu wanted to establish this deity in a very nice way. So they brought him to the top of Govardhan, and they performed a grand festival that actually went on for days and days and days. Imagine a festival that you have that's so nice that all the neighbors hear about it, and they're like, "Oh, that's great. We want to participate too." So then they come the next day, and then the further neighbors hear about it, and they want to come the next day and the next day, and everybody comes and comes and comes. So they brought so many different water pots. I forget where, maybe from Govinda Kund, because this place where Anior is, where his bhajan kutir, it's like right on the bank of Govinda Kund, which is where Lord Krishna was met by Indra when Indra came to offer prayers after he tried to kill all the residents of Vrindavan. Because I forget, there's on one side it's Govinda Kun, and on the other side of Govardhan there's Sarabi Kun, and they're both connected with that pastime. I forget which one's which. So anyways, they put this deity on top of the mountain and they build a little throne for him out of rocks, and they're bringing all these water pots and they perform a grand abhishek, and then they offer so much bogat, and then like I said, everybody hears about it and they come and they come and they come. And many people came forward to donate lots of money, and they built a nice temple, and Madhavendra Puri established different brahmanas to continue the puja. And this was all from a deity that manifested through his dream. When I was in Mayapur most recently, there was a really miraculous thing that happened where we were camping in the parikrama. You do parikrama from Mayapur, like ISKCON Mayapur, and you go through all the different dweeps of Navadweep. Nava means 9 and Dweep means island. There's 9 islands of Navadweep, which is the holy Dham, and everything is contained within this. Vrindavan, all the holy places, all the holy tirthas are within Navadweep. So you're hiking, and each night you stay in a different dweep, a different farm in the middle of nowhere. And one day it started raining. It was really pouring, and there was devotees doing like really loud, really ecstatic, excited Harinam, and they were going through like the whole campsite, and it was pouring down rain. Like everybody's camp was flooding. It wasn't like a fun, joyous situation. But then these devotees are having like the most ecstatic Harinam that I've seen. And I saw them carrying a deity, and I didn't know what was going on, but the next day I came to find out there's a devotee. He was having dreams leading up to this night, like weeks before, about Lord Chaitanya coming to him in his dream, about coming to rescue him on the Ganga. And then this night he got to the camp, about 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So when we got there, and he took a little rest, and he had a dream, and Lord Chaitanya came to him and said, come rescue me. So he took a rickshaw, and he went to that place of the Ganga, and then his friend that was with him, they went searching, and they found the deity in the brush, like there on the banks of the Ganga. And then from what they say is like when they actually picked up the deity, that's when it started pouring down, raining. There was like lightning. So then they brought the deity back to that campsite, and everybody was jubilant. They could hardly believe it. So they were all doing like a really, really heartfelt kirtan with all their energy. So there's many stories of many deities manifesting this way, but Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, he was very pure, and that's why Krishna came to him himself. This is why Lord Chaitanya looked up to him. When Madhavendra Puri Prabhu was getting ready to leave his body, his disciple, I forget his name, maybe it's Ramachandra Khan, I forget exactly, but anyways, he was getting ready to leave his body. He is sick, he decrepit, like on his deathbed basically. And then his disciple was sitting there. Why are you lamenting? Now's the time to, give up the material life and merge into oneness. Because somebody who's on the Brahman platform, it's like, okay, there's suffering, that's illusion, and there's no need for lamentation. Krishna says on the spiritual platform, no hankering, no lamentation. So he basically is chastising his guru. Why are you hankering? Why are you lamenting? But Madhavendra Puri Prabhu, he was only lamenting over not doing more devotional service and hankering after the service, the association of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So then he rebuked his disciple, which this disciple, due to these offenses, later he came in the association of the Supreme Lord himself, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he criticized him. All the devotees loved to take prasadam with Lord Chaitanya and serve him so much amounts of prasad from the Jagannath temple and elsewhere. And this this devotee came to Puri, and famously he found ants in Lord Chaitanya's house. So he says, oh, he must be eating too many sweets. Sannyasis shouldn't eat sweets. He's eating too much. So Lord Chaitanya became disturbed, and he reduced his eating immensely. And everybody became, all the Lord Chaitanya's associates became disturbed by this. And this devotee's nature was just to be overly critical and overly judge and overly analyze devotees, and not in a constructive way. And it said that, due to this offensive nature of dealing with his guru, Madhavendra Puri, then this bred in his heart. Well, on the contrary, Ishvara Puri was there, and he could very much understand the moods of his guru Maharaj, Madhavendra Puri, and he was helping him remember Krishna, helping him remember the divine couple, rather than telling him some nonsense and chastising him. So Madhavendra Puri is very special. It's also the appearance day of Srinivasacharya. It's also the appearance day of Radharaman. Srinivasacharya, he was, I'm just going to go over these things real quick. Srinivasacharya, he was a devotee situated in Vrindavan who came there, after most of the 6 Goswamis were starting to leave this world. Jiva Goswami was the youngest, so he was taking tutelage under Jiva Goswami, along with Narottam Das Thakur and Shamananda Prabhu. So Srinivasacharya was very close friends with them, and studied and learned a lot. But then Jiva Goswami gave them the order to go preach back to West Bengal, where they are originally from. I believe Shamananda Prabhu was from like the Puri area, Orissa. Shamananda or Srinivasacharya was from somewhere in West Bengal, and Narottam Das Thakur was from Kaituri, which is also in West Bengal. So they went preaching, and on the way there was some adventures, such as this wagon of books that they had. Imagine the first Sankirtan van. They took all the books with no printing presses. They're hand copying manuscripts at the time, and they filled up the books. All the most esoteric books of the 6 Goswamis, teaching the tattva of Krishna consciousness in the highest form as given by Lord Chaitanya. This cart, one night they took rest and they woke up and they couldn't find the cart. Somebody stole it. So then they were completely distraught. This was their whole life and soul. This was the mission given to them by their guru. And they couldn't find the cart. So Srinivasacharya, he told Narottam Das Thakur and Shamananda to continue on and, go forward with the journey and preach. But, he was the oldest, so he said, I'll take responsibility for this, and I'm going to stay here and find it or die, basically. They're renunciates. So anyways, it was found out that there was a king. He saw this cart, and he saw there was some people carrying this cart across the country, and they had some guards, so he assumed that it must be valuable, gold. And somehow or other, he found that the cart was in this kingdom, and since it wasn't gold, they stole it and they just kind of set it aside somewhere because they were upset. But long story short, Srinivasacharya, due to his purity, his divine presence, he went to this kingdom and not only got the cart of all the books back, but he converted the king and all of the king's personal order to Vaishnavas, and they became his disciples. And then he got the cart, brought the books back to where he was going, gave them to Narottam Das Thakur and Shamananda, and they continued the preaching mission. There's much more details I'm just skipping over, but it's very nice how this king is the king of the land. He stole this whole thing, and then Srinivasacharya goes in. He's like the small guy trying to get his thing back, but he actually turns them all to Vaishnavas. Not just Vaishnavas. They bow down to his feet and, take initiation from him and call him Guru Maharaj. So that's very potent. And just real quick on Radharaman, very famous deity in Vrindavan. Not so big, maybe like this big. You go to the Radharaman temple, like there's always so many people, and you have to stand in the back, and then the deity's not like on the front of the altar. He's also kind of in the back, so it's very hard to see. You almost need binoculars, so it would help a lot. But it was said that Radharaman self-manifested. Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who was the son of Venkat Bhatta, who Lord Chaitanya visited in South India when he was traveling, who Lord Chaitanya instructed, that not just instructed but defeated his philosophy of how worshipping Radha Krishna is higher than worshipping Lakshmi Narayana. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami was his son, and also his uncle was Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur, another very great Vaishnava who's actually a gopi in the spiritual world. So anyways, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he had this dream or premonition to go to the mountains, to the Himalayas, and when he went to these mountains, he was going to the river to take bath, and he was scooping water with a pot that he had. And when he went to scoop water, there was some shalagram shilas in there. So he said, what is this? So he dumped the pot out, and he tried to scoop up water again. And then the shilas are in there also again. And then this happened a third time. And he said, okay, I guess it's meant to be. So then he was taking these shilas and carrying them with him. He went back to Vrindavan. He's worshipping these shilas. And he had the desire, because he saw other vendors and people worshipping their deities, having cloth and being able to dress their deities so nicely. Imagine if we were just worshipping like a Shiva Lingam or, Shaligram Shila, or, without dressing and all the colors and flowers. It's a big facet of deity worship, that's there. So he had this desire that he wanted to dress, his deity, to take care of him very nicely, but it's only this pile of stones. So one day, he was carrying these stones in a cloth, and then basically he opened the cloth and he noticed that a transformation happened. So then Radharaman manifested from these shalagram shilas into his beautiful form as he is now, Krishna standing in his threefold bending form, holding his flute. I forget the exact details, but it's said that when the 6 Goswamis were seeing this deity of Radharaman, they were saying how, don't quote me, but I'm just going to say this as an example to give the idea. He had the feet of Radha Madan Mohan, he had the midsection of Radha Govinda, he had the face of one of the other deities there. So he manifested such beautiful form, and you could see him, he is very exquisite, very, very beautiful. So Gopal Bhatta Goswami, he established a temple for him in Vrindavan. That temple is still existing now. You can go visit it and take darshan of Radharaman. Gopal Bhatta Goswami Samadhi is in another building that's right around the corner. And when Srila Prabhupada took his disciples to Vrindavan, he very much appreciated the way that this deity was worshipped and the standards of cleanliness and puja that they have always upkept. I've heard that there's a fire burning there that has been burning ever since, Gopal Bhatta Goswami started this temple. Apparently it was started by mantra, and they keep this fire going, and it never stops. So, some nectar to hear about these things. Krishna consciousness, all these auspicious days forces us to talk, read, research. It's very nice just to follow the Vaishnava calendar. If one actually pays respect to that, then very easily the appearance day comes of our acharyas or different incarnations of the Lord, we discuss, we talk, and just, year after year, without even trying, we hear more, we go deeper, and it becomes just such stronger impressions in our consciousness. So that's that. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.